All right, welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Guys, yesterday at Brown's voluntary minicamp, the quarterbacks were wearing GoPros. Tyvis was on with us earlier. He talked about the fact that he loves it because you will see what they are seeing. Yeah. So if the coach says, hey, Shador, hey, Deshaun, hey, what's the third? Dylan Gabriel. I couldn't think of his name. Hey, Dylan, did where were your progressions there? What were you seeing there? Well, we will see, or not we, but they will see, the coaching staff will see, what these guys are seeing. I think it's a great idea.
It's not new technology. Teams have used this before. The Browns had not tapped into this, but I heard Jaden Daniels, the Commanders quarterback, talk about in a podcast interview probably 2 years ago about how when he transferred from Arizona State to LSU, they started using the GoPros and virtual reality to simulate what they see on the GoPros on non-throwing days. And he said that his memory's good, but when you go back and look at certain plays, you don't always remember exactly the picture in front of you at that given time. And being able to go and stop and see pre-snap, if this safety's in this exact spot, 2 yards off the hash, 7 yards off the line of scrimmage, wherever the positioning is, and then they drop into cover 2 or cover 3, and they go and watch it again and again, he was able to then replicate that when he was actually on the field playing in his Heisman season because he had those reps of seeing from field angle, not from the top. And Dustin, you talk all 22 versus field level, the differences from that quarterback position, how much that helped him. I don't know how Deshaun, Shador, Dylan, those guys will ingest this information if they'll buy in as much as Jaden Daniels did. But hearing a guy from Jaden who had that actual experience using this go from an Arizona State quarterback who was going to be a late day 3 pick to the Heisman winner and the 2nd pick overall to the incredible rookie season he had, there has to be some actual tangible benefits.
Of course there is.
For not just the quarterback, but for the coaching staff who's trying to ingest as much information about these guys as they can before naming a starter.
It's actually pretty stupid that teams have not been using it. Like, well, where were the Browns and other teams on this?
Especially for quarterbacks. I mean, that position specifically is the one where you could absolutely you need it. You need to know what the quarterback was seeing, even if he doesn't even remember what he was looking at. Like, it helps him to be able to go back and like, okay, my eyes were there when they should have been there. And then I'm sure that they can splice it together with the All-22 and the coaching tape so that they can actually see like what was happening with the defender, whereas what was the quarterback seeing at the exact same time. And, this is a technology that, as Mike said, it's been around for a while. Maybe hasn't been quite tapped into by the Browns. And, I mean, it's goofy looking on the helmets, but if it's valuable for the players, like let's use the technology that's there. I mean, we've got all this new stuff. Like people record everything with these meta glasses, and there's some really cool stuff that you can do. I know because I watch a lot of tennis videos, and these people that record where they're watching the ball and things like that. So this is absolutely something that they should be using. And I'm not saying it's going to make them Tom Brady, but if it can improve their eyes, which is the number one most important thing as a quarterback, you have to be looking where to see what the defense is doing, pre-snap, post-snap, all those things. It's helpful.
It is crazy that the Browns have the biggest analytic department in the entire NFL, and they believe, whether it was Stefanski, since Haslam's taken over, whoever's been the head coach.
Well, not since Haslam's taken over, but since they
the last decade. So I guess
everyone basically outside of John Dorsey has been an analytics
super analytic driven organization. They haven't tapped in this earlier. This feels like it's not cutting edge now, but whenever it started, it was. Well,
this isn't data. This is more just it's technology. I mean, we're just thinking, okay, we're.
But what you get from it is data. Was the quarterback looking his eyes? Were they on the right first progression? Did he go from progression 1 to progression 2 too early? Did the linebacker drop out and then he turned his eyes, or was he waiting for the line? I feel like that is.
Yeah,
it's not your traditional analytical data, but it is. It is tangible data.
You can put into the process. And it may show you a flaw in your game, something you may be doing wrong. I don't know, some bad habit you may have. Who knows what? There's no downside to it.
No. And honestly, I think the coolest thing about it would be for like if I was his coach, to be able to see like what is he looking at before the snap,
right?
Like pre-snap, like where's
how's
his
he
focus?
Surveying
what's he identifying? And is he making the right checks? Like, okay, was the safety really rolled up in the box as opposed to, I saw him late and all of a sudden didn't get to this certain check or didn't check to a run or out of a run that was a bad look. Like, those are the things you have to figure out where this guy's eyes are at.
Right.
Todd
Monken
also said it gives him a chance to hear their communication in the huddle.
Yeah, let's see exactly what he said. Or do we have it? Yeah, here we go. Todd Monken said, well, it's a valuable tool unless you want to be standing in the huddle to hear their communication, right? What's actually being relayed from myself to them to the players, and then it allows you to pre-snap and then post-snap, get an idea where their eyes are. Are they in the right place? That's exactly what we talked about. We didn't even talk about, which he mentions there, because obviously there's audio as well, that you're also getting to hear, as the coach, the pre-snap communications, and especially with young quarterbacks, there may be some things that the coach is like, okay, we got to clean this up because he's doing this wrong or that wrong or whatever. Or maybe the coach hears something, is like, you know what, maybe we got to shorten this or whatever. I don't know, but it's clearly valuable information.
Do they have microphones on them so they can hear them at the line of scrimmage as well? So they can, as they're looking, they can hear the audio?
I'm sure the GoPros have
GoPro probably has audio, I assume.
Yeah, most GoPros have built-in microphones.
Never messed with GoPros.
Yeah, cool. Neither have I, but it is cool. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a situation where it's smart. Good job. I don't know if it was Todd Monken's idea, but kudos to him.
It feels 21st century. As silly as it sounds, it just feels like this was something that other teams have been doing. If nothing else, it gives you more information. Not that,
I don't know how many. I wonder how many NFL teams use it.
I know I've seen Tua had it on when he was in Miami, so I know the Dolphins
didn't help
used
him.
it. No, so clearly it doesn't mean GoPro equals
no, of course not.
All-pro quarterback.
I'm kidding. Also, maybe he would have been even worse without the GoPro. I mean, who knows? What'd you say, Anthony?
I was just giving you the time for our segment. I'm looking to bed at 11:30.
Anthony's looking at me like, oh, why'd you say what did you
Every
say?
time. It's so funny.
It's fun. It's all right. We take people behind the scenes.
I just think in a quarterback battle, where these guys are all starting from square one, it's a new coach looking at everyone as a blank canvas.
I don't agree with that. They're not starting from scratch. That's nonsense.
I think Deshaun and Shedeur are starting from scratch.
No, I don't believe that.
In Monken's eyes?
Nah.
You think he's going into this with one guy ahead of the other?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
What do you think? He's just like blank thoughts?
No, but I think he's going to give
these guys have been in the league. I know it's only 1 year.
But I think he's going to give each of them a legitimate chance to prove and play themselves into the QB1
you can't change the fact that he has a predetermined mindset about the guy.
Okay, fine.
This idea that guys come in with a blank slate, that's nonsense.
But it's not like, I guess it's not ground zero, you're right. But I don't think either, if he thought one guy was that much better than the other, then that guy'd be the starting quarterback. Right?
Yes, right.
So they're even enough in his mind that they're going to go through this, whatever process, however long it takes, to determine who's going to come out on top. Adding another layer of information to help you make that decision,
sure, but
I don't think can hurt in any way.
It might be a situation where in his mind, let's say he's like, well, Shedeur Sanders is going to be the starter, but let me see what Deshaun's still got. Or vice versa. He's like, listen, Deshaun's the only one that can play. We're starting him, but let's see what the rookies, the young guys got. Maybe they change their mind.
And more information just helps you make that decision.
In his mind, the starter may be picked already.
That's true.
I don't think that's impossible. I know a lot of people just assume Shedeur Sanders is going to start. So why can't he have just possibly picked the starter, whether it's Shedeur or not?
I've talked to a lot of college coaches about this, and off the record, who do you think is going to be the guy? And they're like, well, they have a quarterback who they think is going to be the guy, and who they hope steps up and continues to get better. But even though there's a competition, they're still kind of are leaning a certain way already.
Of course, yeah. And so he's got to be leaning one way.
For sure.
I don't think Todd Monken in his brain right now is like, could be any of these three guys. I have no idea. I just don't buy that.
I agree with that sense. I guess I'm just saying, if he felt that strongly about anyone in particular, we would know at this point.
If it was a no-brainer, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. The starter would be, we'd know it. But it doesn't mean he's not leaning in one direction. And I would bet by now, in fact, I'd be surprised if there wasn't in his mind a clear favorite for the job. And as you said, like when you talk to college coaches, they know who the favorite is. There's a chance for the other guy or guys to maybe change their mind.
They also have a guy in their mind who they want to win the job.
That's true. And it might be the same, it might be
different. Because they may see something in one guy and they're like, okay, they may be like, well, man, Shedeur has these traits that people gravitate towards him. So they like that, but they're like, man, I really need him to elevate his game on the field.
Yeah, right.
So I'm hoping that he takes the job and runs with it,
But if he doesn't,
then,
wanting someone to be the guy versus them actually taking the job or not necessarily. They don't always go hand to hand. Now, you want them to. You obviously want the guy that you think best fits your system and the guy you think can best corral a team and get everyone to get behind him to be the guy that steps up. But if it is going to be a semi, if you want to call it, not fully open competition, whatever word you want to use.
Who's the guy, Halfley in Miami? I'm sure he really wants and hopes that Malik Willis is the guy.
Considering they paid him, it better be Malik Willis. Yeah.
But I mean, still, you're hoping and you want to see him take that next step.
Right. I remember who was the guy? Oh man, the Packers quarterback who played like a few good games.
Matt
Flynn.
Yeah.
Before that, it was Scott Mitchell. Remember, he had a couple of good games, and you thought he was going to be the guy.
Flynn goes to Seattle,
and then Russell Wilson.
And
So,
Russell
who knows? But this idea that it's a blank slate now, I don't even buy it was a blank slate the day they hired him.
No,
because he knows these guys at least on some level.
I do think though, because Deshaun hadn't played in 2+ years.
Yeah.
Whatever he thought of Deshaun, he had to see something on the field before he knew exactly what he was getting in there. So,
Absolutely.
It gives it a little more of a starting level that's more balanced. But I think if you ask Todd to give him true serum, who do you want to be your quarterback? Like, who do you want to step forward and win that job? I bet you his answer is Shedeur Sanders.
I don't know that I agree with that.
I'm not saying he's going to. I think,
in fact, I would say he wanted to be Deshaun Watson because he, like everybody else, saw what Deshaun Watson once was. And that player, as unlikely as it is that player will ever exist again, that player was one of the best quarterbacks in football.
No doubt about
Shedeur Sanders has never been that.
Fact.
Not fair. It's been 1 year, but one guy you've seen be one of the best players in football.
Yeah,
one of the guy you've never seen come anywhere close to that.
Well, you've seen the guy in Shedeur be able to corral the locker room with the guys in there already. I don't think Deshaun ever had the guys backing him as much as we saw the guys backing him last year.
I don't buy that. Let's just be honest. Deshaun Watson, coming out of college, was a way higher rated prospect than
not even close.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Guy Heisman Trophy, national championship, unbelievable talent, and then becomes essentially the best quarterback in football in the NFL.
Right.
So that guy has already done something. So that's in him somewhere. So if I'm Todd Monken, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I can just pull that back out.
But you have to believe that's actually still in there to then think you could get it back out.
Why would you? Coaches are arrogant.
Yes.
They all think they can get the best out of every player.
If it's
and
still
Deshaun
there,
Watson's best
is
way better than the other two guys.
No one's arguing that. But if it's still there, Deshaun Watson
somehow we're defending Watson now, all of a sudden. Isn't that funny?
But that was 2 Achilles surgeries and a shoulder surgery.
Totally agree.
Mike, we all understand that.
He's trying to take you inside the head of Monken a little bit.
Nobody thinks that he's still got that player left, or if it is, it's like a 1% chance.
So that's why I think.
But if you're the coach and you've seen this guy be 2019, 2020, maybe the second best quarterback in the league, it doesn't matter how long it's been. He's still young enough that it's possible.
I still think he'd rather have Shedeur come out and take the job.
I don't agree.
I think
you're buying into the
No, I just think
the hype
I think
and
the coach would
propaganda.
rather have the young quarterback with more of a ceiling to have everyone corralling and buy back in.
You think Shedeur Sanders has a higher ceiling than Deshaun Watson?
Right now, yeah.
No, I don't think. I don't think there's any.
I thought Deshaun Watson last time he's played here wasn't good, and that was 2 Achilles surgeries and I don't want to say catastrophic injury to his shoulder, but a shoulder injury that we have never seen an NFL quarterback come back from.
We don't even know if Shedeur Sanders is good enough to be a starter in the league. We don't know that.
That's fine, yeah.
So you can't. I don't know. So what's his upside?
That's the unknown. I'll take the unknown.
I can say that about anybody. Then I could argue Dylan Gabriel's upside is higher than Deshaun.
And if you want to argue Dylan Gabriel, I'm going to say here, be like, I think you're crazy.
I'm going to say that one quarterback has, for a time, been at worst the top 5 quarterback in the league.
No one's arguing that.
The other 2 were 2 of the worst quarterbacks in the league as rookies. Yeah. That's just facts.
But it's been we've seen Shedeur have a better football game, and I feel like G. Bush now, but we've seen Shedeur have a better football game.
That's one game.
2 years prior.
That's
than the
one
last
game.
Time Deshaun Watson had a good football
You think
game.
Todd Monken cares about that?
If Deshaun's body's broken, then yes, he does care about
some nonsense game against the worst team in
but
football.
But if you think Deshaun's body is broken, which
if his body is broken, then he won't play. I mean, if he can't play, he can't
play. The question is not who's going to be it. It's who do you think?
If
Todd Monken
let me ask you this.
QB1.
Let me ask you
I think Monken would rather have the young quarterback who has all the fanfare around him.
He doesn't care about fanfare. He doesn't give a rat's ass about fanfare.
Fans aren't going to help him on Sundays.
Monken would once again.
Yeah.
None of us know. We never talked to Todd
Mike,
Monken.
let me ask you this question.
Yeah, sure.
Let me ask this question. If you're Todd Monken,
yes,
are you thinking like, okay, I know it's been a long time for Deshaun Watson, but this guy was a great player. It's got to still be in there. If he's completely healthy now for the first time, don't you think he's thinking that we can find a way to get? I know it was an injury. I know it was Michael Vick was out of the league for a long time.
Yeah.
He was in jail.
Yeah.
Not even working out.
Not even working out. And by the way, Michael Vick at his best wasn't as close to good as Deshaun Watson.
His time off, though, was less than the gap we've seen since Deshaun was Deshaun.
I understand all of this. Let me make it very clear.
You're triggering me, though, Bull. You're triggering me.
Let me make it very clear that I think there's a very, very, very slim chance that guy could be found in what's left in the corpse of Deshaun Watson. But Todd,
I'm just twitching because you said that at their very best that Michael Vick wouldn't touch Deshaun, and I disagree.
As an all-around player,
yeah,
he wasn't. He had no accuracy.
The numbers aren't quite. Dude, I don't know. Dude.
Yeah.
Michael Vick was something, dude.
That's not a knock at Michael Vick. It's a compliment of how good Deshaun Watson was.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm just, I got a special place for
I
Vick,
hear
man.
you. I love Michael Vick too. And I by the way, I think if Michael Vick had played now instead of then, he would have been even better.
Yeah.
Probably because it was
the league is definitely would favor him now,
right?
Protecting
much
him.
more,
yeah.
And his completion percentage would be higher just because of the nature of the game. He just wasn't a very accurate passer. Had a big arm. I mean, huge arm,
dude. And he's a lefty.
Yeah. I mean, and who's a better athlete, Michael Vick or Lamar Jackson at their best?
Mike Vick's still the most explosive athlete I've ever seen.
And
I was younger, so maybe I'd have to rewatch it to remember exactly. But like when he ran through those two Minnesota Viking defenders and they went helmet on each other and he waltzed into the end zone, that was.
And neither one of them is the greatest athlete I've ever seen play football.
Last thing on this, who would you rather have? Sorry.
Well, you guys
Bo Jackson.
Thank you.
But yeah. I think most coaches would rather take the younger quarterback that in their mind may or may not have higher upside on a better contract. Where you're asking, who do you want to step up?
You're thinking about things that coaches don't give a rat's
Then the old guy
you're
who's been
thinking about it like
down.
You're Andrew Berry, dude.
Yeah.
Am I answering this as Andrew Berry, not Todd Monken?
I think so.
Or and a Shadorian.
No, because I'm not a Shadorian or a Watson.
Or a Watsonin?
Watsonian?